Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of this book. We're in a new poem. It says Fear of Poverty, and it's poem verses 75 through 77. And so let's see what it says. Fear of poverty originates in having a bad opinion of God the Exalted, and its cure is in having a good opinion, and knowing that what God possesses is never diminished in the least by his expenditure from it, and that what has been apportioned to you will reach you inevitably. One who uses his religion as a means of benefiting his worldly condition is a sycophantic hypocrite in his transaction, and he ultimately shall be the one defrauded. Okay, so clearly here, what apportioned to you will reach you, and then using your religion as a sort of persona and not as a lifestyle, apparently. Discussion. Okay, let's see what Yusuf says about it. The next spiritual disease Imam Maulud discusses is fear of poverty. Scholars have said that nurturing this fear is tantamount to harboring a negative opinion about God, the Exalted, who has revealed, Satan threatens you with poverty, and he commands you to immorality. But God promises you his forgiveness and bounty. Quran 2:268. So notice this, right? We do fear poverty. I feel poverty. I mean, you get used, you can get numb to certain elements of it, but oh man, if you're poor in some places, that's a viciously, just horrible experience. Oh man, jeez. It's some places it's so awful. Oh man. So people fear it. I mean, I don't think that makes a negative opinion about God. I just think people are fearful of, being stuck in the lion's den. One of Satan's tactics is to keep people so occupied with fear of losing their wealth that this culminates in them desperately clinging to their money and depriving the needy and themselves of the goodness of giving for the sake of God. So it makes them more stingy. So Satan, he's contending, creates a sort of desperate clinging to you that causes you to be a miser. A person under the spell of irrational fear is more vulnerable to transgressing laws, even to the point of indulging in lewdness for the purpose of gaining profit and wealth. Yeah, that's true. Lewdness, totally. Yeah, now when you say irrational fear, it's like people have a legitimate fear of, falling into poverty because it's a brutal existence and they don't know if they'll be able to make it. If they can handle the public ridicule that comes with it. It's not just about not having money, it's the way in which poor people are treated. And depending on where you are, man, nurses will treat you different if they know you're poor. That's dangerous. Doctors will treat you different if they know you're poor. Police officers, teachers, regular people, they really dehumanize you many times. And they think that you're just nothing. And you're like, what? Right? So, I mean, is it really irrational to fear being poor when, you can, well, yes, I understand you're supposed to turn and trust in your maker. It's sufficient to have the feeling of connection. But, man, I can understand if somebody's very fear. It's it's what's led, though, to so many empires being born, is, wanting to constantly succeed. God is the provider and the source of all wealth and comfort. He has promised that those who believe in him and expend on behalf of the indignant shall receive a far more valuable return than the measure of what they spend. If one is to have fear, it should be of God, who has revealed. And whoever fears God, he will make for him a way out, and he will provide for him in a way he never expected, and whoever trusts in God, He is sufficient for him. Quran 65:2-3. He will make a way out. Notice that. You fear God, there's a way out. And there will be a way out that you didn't see coming. The stipulations in receiving this provision are that one have true taqwa, God consciousness. Okay, yes, we know that one, but let's just annotate it anyways. And nurture it so that it permits one to walk the earth with dignity. So you nurtured your taqwa, it's going to really make your dignity increase. Fear of poverty is an instrument of deception and a common cause of misguidance. So I think that comes from brand worship. Maybe if we stopped our brand worshipping, we'd have less of a fear of poverty. The American humorist Mark Twain once remarked, "I've had thousands of problems in my life, most of which never actually happened." A person can grieve over a plethora of concerns and problems that he or she may never have to face. Yeah, we do that. You're anticipating things in order to attack them if they show up. There is a point where you, like, if you never look ahead, if you never try to see what's coming around the corner, the lion's eating you for lunch. So, sometimes you have to, yeah, that's the dynamic though. Your maker will provide, but you still have to be smart enough to recognize the sign, and you have to be vigilant and be out looking and be aware, but not go over the limits to where you become obsessed. So it's this balance. You can't just be docile, going blind out there and just be like, I could walk across the street and God will stop all the cars for me, or, I understand the different ways he says it, but there's a lot that can go on. These phantom concerns can be crippling. Wealthy people cannot be at peace if constantly worried about their state and its potential loss. Poor people are worried about being homeless, so it's not just rich people have to worry about losing their estate. There's a reason why you don't want to lose your estate, because you're going to suffer. People don't want to suffer. Many wealthy people enjoy no peace of mind, and their lives are rife with conflict, contention, and treachery. Even at small levels, you're going to get treachery. You're going to get contention at any economic position in life, any socioeconomic position, I argue. Because I argue that those elements are just too common to human behavior. A hadith states, anxiety is half of aging. What? What do you mean? Like, that's how we get old? Or like, as you get older, you worry? Another hadith states, righteousness will lengthen your life. One interpretation of this hadith is that people who are righteous do not suffer anxiety that tears down the body and mind. Anxiety tearing down the body and mind, but you can be in an environment that's really a test to see how long you can keep that in, right? They are content to do good deeds, and they trust in God. It is usually the irreligious who are in a state of turmoil with hearts not at ease. I don't know, that's the ideal. I think there's a lot of people's hearts not at ease right now during these troubling times. And even if you trust in God, you still have to have some panic in the world and anxiety and stress, and there's so much going on. So I don't really blame people if they have anxiety or they have despair, because it's a coping mechanism, but it does tear down the body and mind if it gets out of control, and at a certain point you have to breathe. But at a certain point you have to also know when to leap and go forward, when to, patiently wait it out. It's a constant tit-for-tat battle to survive, to know what's the next move, and, you have to anticipate, you have to maneuver, you have to strategize, you have to plan, you have to pray, you have to hope, you have to fail even to know, so what you need to improve on. So, I mean, peace of mind, everybody wants it, but few get it. It can happen for moments, but it's not stationary, not fixed.